Hello, everybody. It is Rocco, you boy, coming at you with another Age of Sigmar video. Before we get too off topic, this is also the Pants Mafia. Say hi, Pants Mafia.
Hey, everyone. Hey.
Hello.
And they graciously let me join their team for a big old tournament at Adepticon. And there's always, every year, talks about Adepticon, people freaking out about how hobby forward it is, how good it is, bad it is, whatever it is. And these are three experts to talk about it. Totally.
I've been on like almost every Adepticon. I think I missed one. So, well, at least for the AOS stuff, since AOS came out. So, yeah.
Yeah. We go around and introduce ourselves. Christian, you can go first.
Yeah, Christian. I don't know what to say about me. AOS player since the starts, before we had points. Going to the first Adepticon where there was no points for AOS, that was me. And what I like, so my thing I'm proud about for my Adepticon is the first three Adepticons I came 20th. So
each time.
Yes, the first Adepticon there was only 20 players. I came dead last. The second Adepticon there were 40 players, so right in the middle. The third Adepticon there was 120 players, so I actually did quite well. So
nice.
But what a coincidence, coming like the exact same position every time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, then for the way my camera's set up, Alex, you're next.
My name is Alex. I was introduced to Age of Sigmar by Christian, who knew that I was familiar with Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k and had played a bunch of the games in the series. And then one day he said to me, like, Alex, do you want to actually play Warhammer? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And then not too long after, I had a box of Dark Shards that I was building. Back when Executioners did 2 mortal wounds on a 6. Those were the days.
They were.
I tricked him. It's like, if you want to trick your friend into getting addicted to Warhammer, you'd be like, hey, I just gotta play against someone for this tournament, so I just want a practice game so I can learn my rules better. And then they're nice and they say, I'll give you a practice game, and then it's just like crack. They're on it forever.
Yeah, and
you're not wrong.
One of those Adepticons that Christian mentioned, I lived in the area and I picked him up from the event, and he bought me a box of my favorite models in all of Age of Sigmar, Blackguard, Dark Elf Blackguard.
Really? That's your favorite model?
That was my favorite model, my favorite thing from the lore. They are just my favorite little thing.
Cool.
And for various reasons, but I won't belabor the point. But
sure.
I was our team captain this year for the team event at Adepticon.
Damn right. Oh, captain, my captain.
Well, after Alex's first practice game, he sends me a message a week later just being like, you're a jerk. I've been on the Games Workshop site looking at Chaos Knights for the last hour.
Yep.
I was having an existential crisis over whether to play Slaves to Darkness or Dark Elves, and it was all Christian's fault.
There you go.
That's nowadays you do both.
Yeah.
Do both now. Yeah.
And that was also maximum pants to minimum pants. Oh, moderate pants, excuse me. Now to minimum pants. Kyle, take it away.
Yes, I am Kyle. I am the minimum of the pants. I, too, have a similar history with how I got involved with Age of Sigmar. I played a dabble very, very lightly with 40k back in my teens. And then Christian, who also knew my familiarity with the game, was like, hey, come play a game of Age of Sigmar with me and Alex. And, several years and several $1,000s spent later, here we are.
That do it. What's your favorite model?
The Morghast.
Okay.
No contest. Greatest model ever created by Age of Sigmar.
And we're
Games Workshop, I should say.
And we're excited for the new OBR hero for you, because that's a Morghast head.
So excited. That guy's building a Morghast. He's going to do something good with them. You know I'm going to buy at least 2, maybe 4. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. And Christian, what's your favorite model?
I'm going to say the Ogre Man-Eaters. I freaking love those guys.
Yeah. No.
If they were ever battle line, like, that would just be my army. I just think they're so cool. And I think it's the best model I ever painted, and they're super old as well. They're like 2006, but they're still beautiful, and they just stack up so nicely better everything.
Yeah. No, they're So before we get too off topic on everything else too, the actual topic of this video and episode here is, what is Adepticon? So, I don't know, Christian, you've been there since the beginning. What did it start out as?
Look, I like well, all the credit to where AOS is. I like to think almost in North America comes from Alex Gonzalez. So he built the scene, right? Like he put so much into running every single tournament. You'd know him if you watched or listened to the Garage Hammer podcast, because he was a co-host for years and years on there. But yeah, like there was no one else in America when AOS started that was running big events, and he was the guy. Like there was like 4 or 5 different events going on in the Midwest every year, and they were all run by Alex. He ran everything.
There you go.
And I think like the thing about an early Adepticon, which is still we'll go into it later to see like how it's affected what Adepticon is now, is it's just all about making it as inclusive as possible. So this was an event where, hey, remember the fall of the old world, everyone stopped playing Age of Sigmar and stuff like that, so we sort of had to build this community from the ground up. And so what we've done is we made this pack where it was all about, let's have the coolest looking models on the table. It's super hobby focused, because what you want is we want to build the scene. So we want other players to walk around Adepticon and be like, what is that game? What is that thing? I want that. I want to play that thing with those guys. And like it was all about sports scores, and just like everyone was just like having a blast, and like everyone's yelling and laughing and just having the most fun. And like people were coming in from other games just being like, damn, like why is my game not this fun? Why is everyone upset and angry in my room and everyone's having so much fun over here? And yeah, that's just the way we sort of designed our events, to make them so that as many people as possible would want to come and play with us, so we could help build our scene back up to what somewhere where close to what Warhammer Fantasy Battles used to be, because Adepticon used to be a 200-player event in fantasy battles back in the day, but it dropped down to 20 when AOS came out.
Well, I mean, they did a great job. It was fun as hell, and just in the teams event, there were like 200 people playing, let alone champs and the Gibbering Dome and all the other events.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex, you got anything to add on some flavor on What does Adepticon mean to you?
I think Adepticon has always been, for me, from my perspective, sort of the sort of premier big event in the Midwest that sort of shows off what the Midwest values and emphasizes in Warhammer. Where are we putting our emphasis? What kind of game do we want to play? And when people are coming in from other parts of the country or other countries, around the world, that we're showing them, hey, this is how we like to play Warhammer, and we want to show it to you. We want you to come and have a great time and enjoy it and take part in the spectacle. And it might not be exactly how you play, it might not be exactly how you like to play, but you're welcome to come and experience it and have a great time. And then we share that space with so many other great game systems. We have this vendor hall, so you can leave the Sigmar area and you can stroll through and you can walk by these gigantic models of people playing Adeptus Titanicus while you're getting a hot dog. And that's I remember Christian and me and probably other people there standing in line at the concession stand and just looking over at these giant Titanicus models right next to the line. And what a spectacle that was, just to have going on while you're waiting for a drink or something like that. So I think it's been that blending of having all these different games, all these different vendors in one place, but for us as Warhammer players in the Midwest, in the United States, showing off, here is sort of the spirit of how the Midwest likes to play Warhammer.
Yeah, perfect. Kyle, anything to add into that, like for what it means for you?
I mean, Alex summed it up really well. For me, Adepticon became one of my real introductions to the community. Okay. Because I didn't start playing until like late to mid 2017. That's when I got into Warhammer, and Adepticon the following year was my first like real big event. Okay. First big ticket item. That was before they even had a teams tournament. That was when it was just the champs, and I played in that, had a great time, met some big people in the community who I didn't know were like well known in the community at the time, because that was the baby. Sure. But boy, did I have an awesome time. I played awesome games with awesome people and got exposed to the community as a whole. So really experienced all those things that Alex and Christian described, the welcoming nature, the inclusive nature, the really cool hobby nature, all those things that are meant to catch your eye and welcome you to this community, I experienced as my first big event in the community. And it was fantastic. And I wanted to go back every year since.
All right.
What class did you take your first year?
Yeah, that's a good question. That army wasn't out.
4.
Oh, because it would have been the Allegiance and the Gash. Yeah.
That was actually
4.
Yeah.
that was Grand Alliance Death.
Ooh. Oh man. Yeah, you're right. Going way
That's when
back.
Morgas were battle line when Nagash was general.
Yeah. Nice. So, again, we were talking about like all the hobby stuff. Like it wasn't just like really good, amazing hobby, because there was a hell of a lot of that between all the display boards, the painting. I even had to add extra stuff to my basing to make sure I hit all the minimum stuff just for the basic scores. The games were great too, because everyone, even just for our thing, everyone brought heat. Everybody brought heat. Everything was a good list. Everyone looked for the filthiest combo, the biggest thing. And Christian, what did you bring for the team?
Well, I brought a lot of Squig Herd, and I brought a nice little character named Grincrack who would make those Squig Herd fight when they died.
It's amazing.
Friendly, yeah. Yeah, it turned out it was quite a good list. But as we'll find out, I had the worst win-loss ratio out of our team.
That's because people were worried about squigs, man. You brought the heat.
God. It was like, yeah, we'll probably go on it again, but seeing Stormcast Dragons running away from squigs is like a highlight of my week.
and ironically, along the same line, I brought probably arguably the weakest list out of all of us and had the best individual record.
Yeah.
How that makes sense, I don't know.
I don't know either. My captain.
I brought a Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne list, so all mounted, all cavalry, and had a Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, 10 Knights, and 3 Vanguard. It's a list I've played in doubles events before, and tweaked it mildly for a couple things, but was pretty solid all around, and I think complemented each of the different players pretty well. I think it was one of our me and Kyle probably were pretty similar in being kind of our all-rounder options.
Yep. And then I went for, because the theme was all gas, no brakes, and I brought a version of what I've been bringing to doubles events myself, but with different points changes with the new Deepkin book, new in air quotes there, because the turtle went down in points. So I went Nautilus with my beloved Shelly baby girl, the Achillean King, 3 eels, the defensive eels, because I needed something to screen with that wouldn't die immediately, and Lotan, because somehow I finally had just enough points for him and not any of the other stuff I wanted to bring. So this is going to be my first time bringing him. I converted up a model using a baby turtle from an Eidolon kit, the rider, one of the spare riders from the turtle, and just kit bashed the hell out of it, got the conversion approved. And honestly, afterwards, I'm sorry that I've ever slept on Lotan. That model, the rules are great, and he killed so much shit on his own. He wasn't supposed to. I don't even normally curse to my channel. That's just how excited I'm getting here. But
weekend, I'm like saying, like, I don't know how. Yeah, I just didn't believe Rocco when he kept telling me that Lotan was like a beat stick, and he proved me wrong.
Yeah, in our game too. Oh man. Yeah, so, and again, quickly to talk about the team's format here. If Christian or Alex wants to take it, being captain
Alex,
or more experienced,
you're the captain, Alex.
then Kyle can clean up.
Right. So ours was a little bit different than what I was going to say, the classic teams format. I don't know if we have a classic teams
ETC?
format.
I guess ETC format.
ETC, yeah. So the team captains always had to play each other as one half of the double. And the first 3 games were set. So you just rotated through. The captain played with a different member of his or her team each time. So that way the captain had played with everyone once, and then the other pairing was made up of the other members. So my first game was me and Rocco. My second game was me and Kyle. My third was me and Christian, and that was just set automatically. It was randomized or whatever by the TOs.
Yeah.
And then our fourth and fifth games, each of the captains had to play each other still, but they exchanged the lists for the rest of their team members. And you chose which of your opponent's lists you wanted to play with the captain. So, I would choose, in one game, our opponent, the other captain, had a Lumineth list, and I chose his Caradron Overlords player to play with him, and then they chose who was going to play with me.
Yeah.
And credit to Alex, because he correctly guessed what our opponent was going to be picking every single time.
Oh, yeah. No, he picked
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
matchups.
For that 100% correctly.
Yep. No, it was great. You were on the ball, man. You did everything right.
Turns out everyone picked to not play against Squigs. Who'd have thought?
Weird. The boogeyman of the internet, of everyone going, oh my god. They were right. It's scary, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got a kick out of hearing the two Stormcast players comparing notes on how much damage they did with Fulminators and Dragons to Squigs, and then how quickly their own units died as a result of killing those Squigs.
Immediately. And they didn't even kill all the Squigs. That's the best part. Christian, you probably grew back the whole unit almost.
Oh yeah, because when you got 6 herders, like they get back 63 like in your turn.
Yeah.
And like when you get a double, and then you get like 12 D3, it's ridiculous.
But we're jumping a little bit to the end there. Let's start at the beginning, I guess, with so the first round matchup. Since y'all already prepped everything, well, I was a little late getting to the episode. And again, it was really cool. I as I've said in private too, I like the tables. The terrain was good. I wish there might have been a little more line of sight blocking, because where I play and come from, on the East Coast, we have a lot of shooting armies and different things, and that's been a way for us to try to balance it a little more. And we might house rule some things a little differently with some more garrisonable stuff. But I like the tables, and the staff did an amazing job running the event. In that first round, Alex or Christian, want to take it away? Y'all are being talkative. I'm loving it.
Well, we were in different games. So Alex, talk about your game.
Sure. So I played with Rocco in our first round, and we were playing. So I was playing Slaves to Darkness. Rocco had his Ideneth Deepkin.
Yeah.
We were playing against an Ideneth list, and Rocco, I'm drawing a blank. What was the other half of that?
I was hoping you were gonna remember. Was it Stormcast?
Stormcast.
Yes, it was, because it was the
Annihilator list.
Yeah, the Annihilator list with the Grand Hammers.
So we take a look at our opponent, and Rocco's filling me in on the ins and outs of Deepkin, and we're looking at this army and thinking, okay, they've got 2 units of Annihilators with Grand Hammers. They're going to drop them down. They're going to wreak havoc in turn 2. Maybe they'll aim for the double. The Deepkin are going to be striking first.
Yeah, they had an ability to flip the tide early. Yep.
Maybe I'll be able to pull off some activation shenanigans in our turn, because the Karkadrak can do some strike first stuff.
Yep.
And we're thinking like, okay, we're gonna play kind of cagey, and we'll see how that comes out. Round 2 comes up. I believe they win the priority, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
And then they don't do the strike first.
No, they said they weren't going to flip the tides. They weren't going to do anything, and I just lit up. Beautiful smile. I'm like, oh, we got them.
Yeah.
We got them, man.
Both looked at each other like, sure.
Yeah.
For it. So, and the funniest part of it was they dropped the Annihilators in, and this was a moment I was really proud of. 3 Annihilators with Grand Hammers dropped down, successfully charge into the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak.
Yeah.
Not only do they bounce off of him and not do enough damage, he smacks them back and kills all 3. So they now, in their second turn, have to do it again.
Yeah.
And finally, only then are they able to kill him off, which unfortunately cost us our grand strategy.
Yeah.
But
I think they had to kill him with explosions too, because you still killed them.
Yeah. They did their damage when they dropped down.
Yeah.
They exploded when they died.
Yeah.
They hit him with their hammers.
Yeah.
Just bounced right off of him.
It was great.
But my favorite moment from that game, to not belabor the point too much, was when we get our turn 2, we're now doing our Counter-Strike. And Rocco tells me, yeah, I got this side of the board. He's got this plan for how he's going into our Deepkin.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on handling the Stormcast. I'm charging my knights in, doing all that stuff. I turn around from what's a very normal, knights charge in, they're killing a thing, whatever. Yeah. I turn around, and Rocco has somehow charged into the middle of the entire other Ideneth army and destroyed it.
It's gone.
I turned around, and half of the board belonging to my opponent is just clear. And all that remains are a turtle and some eagles and a Killian King.
I brought 5 models to the fight. He had 60 or 70. I kept my 5 models in the fight. That was it.
Yeah. I swear, it was a blink and you miss it moment because I did. I turned around and they were gone. So from there, we had the momentum. We took it. We ran with it. And we took away that game for the win.
Yep. And Christian and Kyle, quick little recap of your game 1.
Ours just went to plan. Like, we talked before the match about what we would do. And I basically said, Kyle, I'll be your meat shield. I'm going to go up there and just be 72 wounds of grots. And sometimes with a 5-up save when I can roll a 2-up.
Oh,
this time I did. Yes. We both charged in, and they just sort of got caught up by grots, right? And we're playing IDK and Doc, and the IDK was an all-shooting list. They brought 50 archers. Turns out that's really good.
Yeah.
50 archers is really good. And 40 of them deployed off the board, which meant that it was just pretty much playing both of us who had very fast armies versus 1k of Doc. And, Twigs charged in, and a Velocita charged in, and there weren't a lot of Doc left after that happened.
We deleted a big chunk of them, top of 1 with the charging, because we knew we were going to have turns, a game with pretty close deployment zones. And then we weathered the storm into 2. They shot a lot of the squigs off.
They shot all but one herder off. One herder lived.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they did their work in the clapback, but then we got the double going into 2, and that was a kind of a nail in the coffin, because at that point he had failed his charge with his 10 punch snakes because of a big redeploy for the zombie dragon. So when I got the charge back, the Doc player was gone at the top of 2. I eliminated the entire rest of his army. Meanwhile, they were reluctant to kill the squigs because they didn't want us to bring them back at the shrine, and that wound up being their undoing in the end, because we used those squigs to eat and unleash hell when they dropped the 30 Demarty Reavers and got them close. So by that point, juiced up Blood Knights with +1 damage, doing damage during the charge, wiped the 30 block of Reavers off the table like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So their reluctance to kill squigs probably helped, quicken the pace of losing that game.
I'll take
it. It was not super far off points-wise, but I don't think it was ever really a question because they were never remotely close to controlling the table.
Okay.
Yeah, they really didn't have a good way to deploy, so it was just sort of like, I think just based on where we were on the board, there just wasn't a good option for where to drop all of those Reavers down. So they were kind of just sort of like stuck. They had pretty much deployed their Reavers in their deployment zone because that's where all of our troops already were. So.
Nice. Yeah, a 30 block of Reavers is just so unwieldy sometimes, just to find placement on those bigger bases. Great round 1. We did it. Go, all gas, no brakes. Go team. Round 2. Who wants to take that?
Was a tough round.
This was the ugly round.
This was the
only round.
They came first. They were the guys that came first in the tournament.
They did. No, we got our asses. Christian didn't believe me that my army could do damage.
Yeah, and I still didn't believe you after this game.
I know. You're like, yeah, sure, Rocco. You totally tabled that one guy on your own in like one combat. Sure, Rocco. That was the talk. So
we had a plan, and then we did the opposite of our plan. Our plan was you have lots of rends, and I have mortal wounds. So we were playing Nighthaunt and Trogs. So we were like, hey, you know what makes sense? I have mortal wounds. I'll fight the Nighthaunt. You have rend. You fight the Trogs.
Yep.
And then we did
somehow Yep, from the first battle tech, like, yeah, let's go desecrate their land. I can send the squigs up to the 6 or 9 packet or whatever it was, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what we freaking did.
Frogs are no joke, man. Like,
oh, they're great. In the light of the bad moon too.
They had so much armor. So yeah, I think that first charge, I got like, it was like, oh, I've got like 28 attacks at Ren 2, damage 1, and 20 mortal wounds. How many trogs do you think that kills? 2?
Yep. Yep, that's... I mean, my turtle fought probably, because he kept retreating and charging, fought through 4 or 5 combat phases. Poor Shelly. She eventually went down to mortal wounds because it was the mortal wounds on the charge sub-faction. Scarlet Doom. Yeah, it was her Doom eventually. She had the -1 to be wounded mount trait if they did damage 1, so she just kept living and tanking way more than she should have. But like, she went into it because I had to control the middle, because then all these blade guys showed up. So Shelly went in, right? And it was a block of 20. I left, I don't know, I think I killed maybe 10 because it was just 5 up, 4 up armors, 5 up wards, and then he brought 3 back because he had the hero to just auto reach at it. And we kept going. I'm like, I'm shooting and going. At one point, my Achillean King charged a block of 10 blade geists, did 36 damage. By the way, my army, I built it so it hits on 2s and wounds on 2s. From the King's Aura for Achilleans, which are the riders on the turtle, and the turtle naturally hits on 2s anyway. And then it wounds on 2s because I have Lotan radiating an aura of +1 to wound. I hit and wounded with everything. The King did maybe 36 damage in one combat phase to 10 of them. I killed 9. They're single wound models. I ran the math after the game. Even the Night Haunt player was just apologizing for making so many saves and ward saves. I probably dumped 150 damage into that Night Haunt army alone, and he ignored, let alone the damage that I did that went through. It was ridiculous. And then I turned around and killed some trogs that showed up. I'm like, okay, cool. That made me feel better as a person. But that was a consolation prize. We lost the game. We kept it close in points. We were only down by 1 until round 5.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't break through. And what about you guys for the other game there?
It was a tight game on our end. We only lost by like 4 VPs at the end of it. But yeah, Skaven and Fireslayer turns out good combo.
All right.
Yeah, they really clogged up the middle of the board well. They made it really difficult for us to take a bunch of ground and really gain control of the center. They screened really effectively with the clan rats to make it sound like Alex's knights couldn't get into the magma draws like we wanted them to, or I couldn't get into the Vermin Lord like I wanted to. So they made us make bad decisions, which is probably why they won the tournament. They were good at that.
Who knew?
But yeah, I saved way more damage than I should have saved from a Vermin Lord Warbringer. Like 7 or like 10 of them. 10 damage, 3 attacks at Ren 3 got through, and I rolled 6s like it was my job for some reason, and only took 4 damage from that thing. And then next turn, clap back and kill it. But 2 stacks of Death Frenzy are bad if you want to live. So I died after that, and then with that, and then there was a combo that the Fireslayer player used for the Magma Droth that decimated Alex's Knights. You want to recap that?
Yeah. So we thought we were being really clever because going into turn 2, we won the priority, and we were looking at how our opponents had set up their army and what the ranges were, and we realized that they had effectively screened themselves out. They had wrapped their 2 Magma Droths and their Vermin Lord in so many Clan Rats and Volkites, and none of their big models had fly, so it would actually be really hard for them to then send those models into our army. They would have to completely rearrange their screens in order to get out. So we gave them the first turn of round 2, and they realized the same thing, and they realized, oh shoot, we kind of blocked ourselves in. Unfortunately, the Vermin Lord was able to shuffle around and get into Kyle, but then Kyle saved like a madman and wound up surviving the fight between the Vermin Lord and the Vampire Lord. But so I was able to get in, killed one of the Magma Droths, thinking this is good. You know, we're going well. I still had most of my knights.
Yeah.
And then his other Magmadroth comes in, pops all of these once per game abilities, gets twice as many attacks on the rider, an additional attack on all the other profiles, hitting and wounding well, all this stuff, and just demolishes my knights. And it was all downhill from there. I think that was one of those games where there were 1 or 2 rounds where I just had the Chaos Lord left, and that was all I was playing with. But starting from this game, I got my grand strategy every game, which was I just had to roll an 11 or 12 on Eye of the Gods.
Nice.
So
you got it in deployment in a couple of them too, right?
2 games I actually got it in deployment because I took the command trait to roll when you deployed the model. So, so yeah, I may have gotten my butt handed to me by a souped up Rune Son or whatever the hell he was, but
Rune Father on Droth. Yeah, it was for those who want to know specifics. It was the command trait to fight twice, once per game. But you strike last, second time you fight, and then it was the Magmont Ale, which lets you double the attacks. Not mount attack, but double the attacks of the drinker. So yeah, Rune Dad. And also Lords of the Lodge for +1 attack once per game ability. So +1 attack, double the attacks, fighting twice. And I believe they also popped the extra rend wound, so he used the heroic action to get it in hand, so he was +2 rend every single profile. Not much is going to survive that.
I keep forgetting that's a heroic action that they can do. You know?
I would survive that, Kyle, and Trogs. What about the Firehorn?
Trogs wouldn't have survived that. Trogs don't get a save against
those Blade guys would have survived that. That dude was rolling 4-ups like it was nobody's business, let me tell you. My turtle had -3 red, not that it mattered, but 4 damage attacks. It's like, nope. Okay. 1 got through, 5-ups. Oh, 1 damage. Sheesh. Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately that game went downhill pretty quickly after that. But we had a moment of brilliance that we felt good about.
Yeah. And it worked for the moment, despite the Reverend Lord making like a 10-inch long bomb charge.
You can't plan for that, though.
No, you really can't. And like, because he didn't move into 9, so I couldn't redeploy. He's like, I'm going to gamble for the charge, which I realizing is a smarter tactic than I think I ever gave her credit for. But yeah, no, it worked. He made the super long charge, and that combat wound up being the death of me.
It happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
Did you end up killing that Magmadroth, or did it just live to do everything?
I don't think we ever.
The Rune Dead on Droth, we did not kill it. No, because after by the time that combat had ended, I only had I think 3 Blood Knights left, and my Vampire on foot hiding somewhere, and Alex had just a Karkadrak left at that point. So it was over.
Well, now that round's over, round 3. Oh, Captain, lead it off, because we.
So round 3, I was playing with Christian and his Squigs, and we were up against Christian. Help me out
Lords
here.
of War Canada.
Yeah.
Double Dash.
Canada, yes. Yes, we're up against a double Daughters of Cain list. Lovely group to play against. We really enjoyed our game against them, or at least I did. I think Christian did too.
Yep. Yeah, they were all elves, and they went a kind of display board that was like light versus dark. So they had 2 Lumineth players and 2 Dock players. So you guys got to play the double Lumineth, and we got to play the double Dock.
Yep.
And Marathi did some work, didn't she, Alex?
She did, yes. So the battle plan, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's one of the L-shaped deployment ones, one of the Lego, not Lego.
We haven't been saying battle plans the whole time, actually. I'm thinking about it. The first one?
Round 1 was Realmstone, or round 2 was Realmstone Cache.
Round 2 was Realmstone Cache. I remember the explosion.
Round 1 was the other one with the same deployment, but has the effects on the flank.
Yeah.
Position over power.
Yep. That sounds right.
That's right.
All right.
So at any rate,
keep talking. I'll look up the battle plan, see if it jogs my memory.
The battle plan was one where there's a couple of the corners of your deployment are incredibly close to your opponent's territory, and my army was a 1-drop, so I had to deploy everything on the board right from the get-go, and so our opponents were one list that had Marathi, and then 2 units of Sisters of Slaughter. and the other half of the army was mostly combat snakes, blood sisters. They were in Zain Tharkai, so the blood sisters could fight on death, and the Marathi list was in Keltnar, so Marathi can retreat and charge. So that way she can't really get pinned down.
It's my favorite sub-faction for daughters if you go in Marathi. Not enough people take it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good one, for sure. She can do some real work. So I see Marathi deployed literally as close to my army, my all-elite army as possible, and I think, okay, I'll send in the Vanguard, I'll tie her up, they've got a good save, they can probably weather her for a while, they'll definitely get damage through, and then I'll move the Knights over to do something else.
Was it the Jaws of Galat? No, we played...
That sounds right.
That might have been round 4.
One where
Was it Jaws of Galat or Prize of Galat?
Yeah, because it could...
Keep going, Alex.
Ours for the taking. Ours for the taking.
Oh, yeah.
With the L deployment, where the middle objective costs 2, their home objective costs more. Yeah, keep going, Alex.
So, yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly what it was. Because Christian just dropped a truckload of squigs on their home objective, and that was a pain for them.
Yep.
But I sent the Vanguard into Marathi. They did the 3 wounds, no problem. Marathi smacks them off the table. Gets 5 attacks through with Heartrender, 15 damage, no problem. There goes the unit.
I didn't know that's how it started the game. Shit.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm there thinking, I expected them to hold out a little longer, and only later on after the game did I remember, I did the exact same thing with Marathi to our friend Brendan a year ago.
Oh,
so
no.
I knew somewhere deep in my brain that Marathi can kill 3 Vanguard, no problem, and did it anyway.
I did play Marathi in the new book, and yeah, she's gotten a lot better in this book.
Yeah.
So the long and short of my half is, my army was tied down by Marathi most of the game. She gradually demolished her way through what I had. I did eventually kill her, but by the time that happened, I had so little left. I couldn't really apply that much pressure to the rest of their army. So Christian really became the MVP, and I was Marathi's punching bag.
You were good at unbinding stuff though, because I didn't really have wizards, so you got to by getting the upgrade to get some extra sort of spell casts on your hero there, you were shutting down a lot of it, because you didn't get what's the big one that they always try and
Mind Razor?
Mind Razor.
Yeah. They didn't get it off once the entire game, so that was big.
That is.
To our credit, that wasn't because I was unbinding it. That's because they failed it. They just couldn't get it to cast because they changed Marathi that she doesn't get a bonus to cast anymore. So, and they didn't have anyone else who could really. They didn't have like the Medusa with the Shadow Stone, which is usually how you get around that.
Okay.
Yeah, they were exceptional players. So pretty much Alex tanked Marathi and eventually killed her, and that was his job, and I had to fight everything else. And I pretty much killed everything else, but it took a long time to grind through it because they were just great at like deploying everything, making sure that I could only fight one line of troops at a time. What was our special formation?
Operation Dumbbell.
Operation Dumbbell. It's when because basically you're going to charge a big group of squigs in, and then you're going to trail back a line to Grincrack and your squig boss, so you can give them the buffs. So if they die, they can die, and then you can, grow them back and then charge again. But then they deep strike units behind you, so then you get your squig herders to create a second blob on the back of you, and then you fight multiple phases at once by leaving Grincrack in the middle, and you've got like 2 blobs of squigs going. So basically, I was learning the tactics of having to, sort of like make my one squig herd into 2 units by sort of like, trailing them through the middle.
Oh, that's funny. And how'd the game end?
So close. Really, really close. Ended up going straight to battle tactics at the end, and honestly, like we could have. I think I don't know. It would have been a draw if we had gotten our grand strategy. But basically, as trying to be a good opponent, I told them how to cancel my grand strategy because they forgot that I was deploying, that I had to protect the shrine. So they got very close to the shrine, and I'm like, guys, just kill these like extra snufflers here, and then you cancel my grand strategy. And then they did cancel our grand strategy, and yeah, they won by 3 points. But I wasn't sad about it at all.
No, I mean, in the very first game against the other Deepkin guy, like, he had a unit of 20 thralls, and he's like, yeah, I've got 20 attacks. I'm like, no, bud, you have 41. What? What do you mean? They don't get extra attacks. I'm like, no. You're attacking with 2 damage, and you get 41 attacks base. And, you know,
strategies are hard, right? Because it's like 2.5 hours before you once told them what your strategy is. Like, you can remember what that is, right? I think we
exactly
got rid of their strategy because we needed to have units in their deployment, I think, and it was just like, and we did have units there, but they had to be wholly within. So like that was the thing, that it was just like, I forgot what their grand strategy was, and I could have gotten it if I made sure my guys were wholly, but I didn't. They didn't. Yeah. I didn't remember until they told me at the end of the game, and it was like, oh shit,
I mean, like, mine was keep the turtle alive, which, you know, successful game 1, game 2 it was rough, and then it came down to game 3 there. And for us, it was a little prelude here. So Kyle is not a fan of the Lumineth Realm Lords.
Really? Tell us how you feel about them.
Oh, dear God.
We don't have enough time.
Rocco has
we don't have enough time. Yeah, no, he can't.
No. On his channel, so I can't tell everyone how I really feel about the Lumineth Realm Lords.
Kyle's never beaten Lumineth Realm Lords before this tournament. He did lots of things, long group chats in the late into the night.
Yep.
Not a fan.
Squig Herd, just a couple of just overcosted guys. These Squig Herd and Techless, right, Carl?
I'm going to decline the comment on that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So, anyway, for our game, it was a Huracan, Windcharger, and Sentinels list, so all the shooting, paired with all the Cow Elves and the unnamed Cow Mountain. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
We had a plan too going into this.
We had a plan, and there was a bit of a miscommunication on that plan, which led to a pretty big speed bump. Turn 1.
Just slight. I don't know what you're talking about.
We recovered from it because the plan was, we were going to go on to the main objective and eat a bunch of Stone Guard.
Yep, in the middle.
And Shelly was going to charge in with the zombie dragon.
Yep.
Because cool, then both of us are going to be -1 to hit, -1 to wound, and they're not
giving orders for that. And also the Cow Elves, you need to know, ignore Rend 1 and 2. So Shelly having -3 Rend, I'm like, oh, your Vampire Lord zombie dragon's got -3 Rend, right? Yeah. I'm like, it's gonna be a long charge, and I need to shoot these Sentinels, and we were unbinding their power of fish on the Sentinels, so they aren't doing mortal wounds on 5s and 6s. My King has an artifact to ignore 6s to hit, do additional effects like the mortal wounds or exploding hits. So we had some tech for it, and I'm like, it's gonna be a long charge, Kyle. I don't know, it's gonna be like a 9, 8, 9, maybe a 10-inch charge depending on the angle, and. So that dragon went in solo.
We should have had you CP reroll it, because that would have been better. I think we would have had a much more dominant win had we done that. If you rerolled it and gotten it. But again, dice. We don't know if it would have happened on the reroll.
The next charge I rolled was like a 7 to get my king into something, so I'm gonna say it wouldn't have happened, because that was the next time I touched dice.
The zombie dragon goes in by itself against 10 Stone Guard, and zombie dragons only get Rend 3 on 1 weapon profile on the charge.
I did not realize that. I thought it was on the bite and the thing, but then I'm thinking of Terrorgeists.
Only 1 attack, doesn't have its Rend ignored. TA the Quartzed, and I think all at defense.
Might have had Mystic Shield on too, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it was bad.
So I think I killed 1 Stone Guard. 1 with a vampire.
That's right, this wasn't even the cow. This was the unit. The cow's not even here yet. The cow's moving too slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
that was not good. And then I die as a result on the swingbacks, because turns out they fight pretty good.
Yeah. They had the diamond picks to do the mortal wounds in addition, or whatever that is. Their mortal wound hit.
5 and 6 with the empowerment.
Now it's both. They made the hammers do it as well. It's really nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the hammers are great. So yeah.
So we lose the zombie dragon really early, but then we kind of recover. And at that point, my job in the game had become screen and
score bonus points because in this battle plan, if a GC is on that middle objective, you score a bonus point. Because what happened was we're 2 very elite armies with Blood Knights and 6 models, so there's maybe 18 models of us on the table.
Yeah, 'cause I have 12.
Yeah, and I had 6, and Kyle actually put 5 of his in reserve to try to keep him honest with screening out deep striking. So they walked onto our home objective that first battle round. And there was pretty much nothing we could do about it, and then it was just up to me to slap back and use my speed to try to come up and around. But that's also where all the shooting was. But the other thing was we needed bonus points, and I don't have GCs. My foot hero Lotan is unique, and Kyle had that vampire lord on foot, thank God, and that kept us in the game. She was great. Yeah, because they largely ignored it because it's a vamp lord on foot. It doesn't really do anything. But it scores a ton of extra points. Yep.
And
4 or 5.
We got a minor victory.
Yep.
Because that vampire lord on foot cost them a battle tactic.
Yep.
So I garrisoned a ziggurat that was on the objective by an inch.
Yep.
So she's in the ziggurat, so -1 to hit, +1 save. I swung around the Blood Knights behind it so they couldn't shoot at the Blood Knights.
Yeah.
And because she's a GC, they can't shoot her either.
Yeah.
Because Rocco by that time had killed all their shooting that had sharpshooters. So the Stone Mountain can't shoot at the Vampire Lord. Comes charging in, and Mystical Shield, all up defense, Finest Hour, tanks the Stone Mountain, and cost them. They did gaining momentum.
Yep.
So it cost them the battle tactic, and that ended up being the difference because we got a minor by getting 5 battle tactics where they got none or 4.
Yeah. Because even we were able to throw in some Deepkin battle tactics in there. I did the boat. I might have also done Assassins of the High Tide. I don't even remember anymore.
I know you did the boat one.
Yeah, we definitely did the boat one. Lotan actually had to fight. So Lotan was a hero because I put Lotan out there because Deepkin have a rule where you have to shoot the nearest Deepkin model if you're shooting Deepkin. And so he took 8 Huracan Rider shooting him to try to just delay the king dying more. Just to give him a chance because they had a bunch of mortal wounds on the hero that's riding the cloud. And they just barely got him, but it made it so that then they couldn't shoot the turtle, and my turtle was just killing everything left, right, and center. Her harpoons were shooting their archers down. I killed 5 in the first volley, 8 in the second turn, and then she went and she shot and then killed the 9 remaining stone guard in that middle unit, and then just kept going back and forth there, bouncing around, making crazy charges, and Lotan took the shooting, and then they charged in to get onto the objective, and then he killed enough that we actually kept the objective because he counted his 2 models to their 2 that were left. And then he finished it off in combat because I had always strikes first. And it was just a bloodbath of dead elves everywhere. And
it was brutal.
And it was funny because, you get so tired at these games, like we were saying before about forgetting, grand strategies and why good sportsmanship is nice. So we were going to talk out Battle Round 5. And they're like, yeah, you just score 3 points and you win. I'm like, okay, cool. And so we didn't even need a battle tactic. We had 1 for holding ours, 2 in the middle, whatever. And then we did the math up, and they're like, oh, we beat you by, a point or 2. I'm like, what? So then let's play out this damn game. And they're like, yeah. And then we ended up playing everything out, and it ended up being a draw, which was a hell of a lot of fun. And again, everyone had a great time. We're all laughing, just deliriously giggling. And Kyle got his first win ever versus Lumineth.
That is correct. It was a big moment for me. Big moment for me.
Yep.
Big W. Yeah, so no, that was a good one. Yeah, Lord of the War Toronto, great dudes.
Yeah.
Christian's hoping to see him in the not too distant future. So yeah, 10 out of 10 would play again. Great game.
Damn right. But I think I would play everyone we played at that tournament again.
Yes.
Maybe like one or two minor exceptions, but yeah.
Oh yeah, so we had two favorite teams that they were just a blast, and we would love to. Yeah, that would be top of the list.
Oh yeah.
But
if that Nighthawk guy wouldn't play Nighthawk again, I'm down for a rematch. That's all credit to him.
Rocco's in.
Oh my God, I'm on there like white on rice, man. Listen.
Can we talk about our game 3.5, which was taking Rocco to Portillo's?
Oh, please.
And getting to have your first ever drinkable cake.
Oh my God, that was a liquid cake. It was amazing. I don't know.
For those outside of Chicago that don't understand what we're talking about, Portillo is a restaurant local to us, has a magical thing called the chocolate cake shake.
Yes.
And it is quite literal in its name. They take a piece of their chocolate cake and blend it with their chocolate shake.
Yeah.
And it is a gluttonous delight that everyone needs to experience at one point in their life.
And it's one of those things like you see it on like Instagram and Twitter and TikTok of every influencer, whoever's like, yeah, Portillo's this milkshake, everything. I'm like, okay. And I barely ate lunch just to make sure I had room for all the goddamn food I ate, because I also got that big beef Italian sandwich too, and all the fries and I had to make sure I had water just because I was eating so much fatty crap I didn't choke. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
I'm glad we could do that for you.
Yeah, no, it was a highlight of my trip for sure. And we all went out in our little our uniforms of the matching plaid shirts and had a great time.
A compliment from a random group of teens. So
we did.
Well done.
We did.
An ironic compliment. They were probably just making fun of us. But that's
totally. But you know what? I'll take it.
Wait, at Portillo's, you guys got that compliment?
Yeah, Portillo's. It's like, oh, I love this for you. It's great.
She had kind of like an innocent mousy tone, so I took it as genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Team uniform's great at an event because you're going to have to go get a drink at some point, and you need to find your team in a 200-player event. And
oh my God!
When your entire team is wearing red plaid because they're very easy to find.
Yes,
right.
That was a huge benefit that I had not experienced prior, and now I must make a requirement for all future team events.
Oh, totally. I got lost so many times, and especially in a place I've never been. I'm like, where there we go. But so let's get on to round 4. Here before we get to it, you know, day 2 coming up. We are we're 3-3 at this point.
Yeah, exactly 500.
Yeah, batting 500 here. You know, minor win and the loss, and we ended up on points because of how everything was denied. Like having in the app a true draw, like whatever the scoring was like a 32 to a 32. But you know, like. Not counting that. Wins and losses, what we're doing here, folks. 3-3 on the day. Feeling good about ourselves. We go into round 4.
Do the matchup for the first time.
Yeah, talk to us about that, Alex.
So after our first 3 games, having gotten the chance to play with everyone, I picked everyone's brain about, okay, what are the things that you're looking for or looking to play against? What are the things you're good at? What are the things you're not so good at? Things that we kind of theoretically knew before we got started, but then really cemented into place after 3 games. So Rocco had expressed to me, you know, the benefit of his army is it has high rend, and it can do a lot of damage, and it can get through saves.
Not that Christian believed me, but yeah.
No. And I believed him because I had seen him wipe out his sister army in one turn.
Christian thought we were gaslighting him.
Right. So, Rocco had expressed to me, the one thing I really can't deal with is Nighthawk because I don't have any benefit against them. They nullify my main thing. You know, Christian's army had a lot of bodies and could do a lot of mortal wounds and could do a lot of damage, and was sort of decently good at a bunch of different options, but you know, anything that does enough damage or anti-horde stuff was going to give him a real problem.
Yeah.
And Kyle's list was was a decent all-rounder. It was fast. It was durable. It didn't hit quite as hard as we would have liked, but it was really hard to keep down. So going into our first pairing, the opposing captain hands me a Nighthaunt list. And so I looked at that and I'm thinking, okay, well, it's pretty likely then that they're going to pick Rocco's list to pair with me, because they know that list is not going to do particularly well against Nighthaunt. If they know Deepkin well enough, they're going to add that one in. So based on that, I figured, let me try to set up an opponent there. Let me try to pick someone to pair with the Nighthaunt that Rocco's army will be good against. That way he can focus on them and I can focus on Nighthaunt. Because, yeah, my army has really good rend, but its main thing is that it does multiple damage. My Knights are damage 2 on the charge. And Nighthaunt doesn't really want to meet anything that's damage 2 or higher, because that's not their jam. So I felt pretty confident going into the Nighthaunt list, and so I picked an opponent that I thought Rocco would be good against to pair with them.
With the Sylvaneth.
What Sylvaneth?
Yep.
Yeah, a Sylvaneth list that had Durthu, like kind of souped up Durthu, but not all the way souped up.
The Warsong Revenant.
Yeah, and tree revs and some dryads and things like that. That proved to be a pretty solid combo, because the game worked exactly according to plan. The Nighthaunt tried to pop up and charge in early and failed their early charge. So then my Knights, they had the Harridan list that was focused on
Quicksilver Dread.
Yeah, Quicksilver Dread. But they were going into Slaves of Darkness, who our wards are only for mortal wounds, and they don't deal mortal wounds. The only mortal wounds they would deal were from Olinder, who never saw the table.
No.
Because they held her in reserve for some reason. So suddenly there's some Harridans just hanging with their, butts hanging out in the middle of the table. So my Knights smacked them off the table. And then they went into the next unit of Harridans and smacked them off the table. That failed charge early cost them the momentum, and my army just gradually mowed through the Nighthaunt and met Rocco over at the Sylvaneth. Not that he needed the help.
No. But my first shooting phase was I killed the Tree Revenants with Shelley's harpoon launcher, shot through like a window in the ruins they were at. My second, really the first time she shot though was actually an Unleash Hell to protect your Varangard, because what they did was the two players didn't necessarily play together with their plan. They each had their own individual goals. They didn't focus down one thing. They had a combo where, because they had a Gur Battle Mage from Cities Allied in and the Endless Spell, you can give +5 to charge to one of their units, which they put on Durthu, who had the Greenwood Gladius to give extra attacks when he charged. And they're like, yeah, those Varangard, the internet's just like, ugh, Varangard. There's only 3, but they're going to be scarier than those Knights. Everyone knows the Knights suck from the old book, right? And I always was able to position my turtle where I could Unleash Hell wherever they charged on anything juicy, and I did 5 wounds to Durthu and scared the crap out of them. That was, they're just like, ugh, and then they're like, we're never going near that turtle again. And then Durthu, he wasn't enough to be bracketed, but your Varangard just held out so well that he struck in Fade and just stayed the hell away. It was great.
Yeah, and the Varangard, our opponents actually asked us this. Not to give things away too much, but we wound up winning that game. And our opponents asked us at the end, hey, what do you think we could have done differently? And I said to them, you made the same mistake that most of our opponents did, which was you focused on the Varangard. And the Varangard are my screen. The Varangard are bait. They do not do nearly as much as the Knights do, but they look more impressive, and people get spooked by them. So you did exactly what I wanted you to do. You hit my Varangard first.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I think the Varangard paid them back by charging then halfway across the field, killing off a Nighthaunt hero on the other side of a wall. Although, to his credit, I had to double activate to kill a 5-wound Nighthaunt hero, so that wasn't their finest hour. Basically just became a nuisance and a thorn in their side, and Durthu just never quite did the damage they needed him to.
No, and then I shot the Warsong Revenant dead. And then when I finally got to get into melee, it was the King and the Turtle tag team Durthu, and my 3 eels went into what was left of the Dryads, and it was just a tabling. And then it was just Olander left in reserve, and by turn 2, we had moved out so much from charges and setting up screens and things. We controlled all 5 objectives on... I forget the name of the battle plan. It's the one where whoever goes second in the battle round activates an objective. You can still control them without them being alive, and we just sat on all 5 objectives, screened them out from any kind of deep striking or teleporting from their trees. They kept growing trees, but then, like, the Dryads never moved out to help assist or be roadblocks to fight for objectives. We trapped the Sylvaneth player literally in a corner and just kept them there the whole game while the Nighthaunt player died in the field. In your guys' game...
Wouldn't you know it, I got LRL again. LRL and Squigs. I was teamed up with Christian with his Squigs.
2 terrors of the internet, folks.
Yes, the two of the several boogeymen out there.
The third one being Varangard. Listen to what everyone says.
So yeah, we had Squig on Squig action, and yeah, these very nice guys, but they were very new to Warhammer, and some of that showed. They YOLO charged a Mangler Squig into Christian's frontline Squig herd, top of 1 after taking the turn. I don't know, did we give him the turn? Then we gave him the turn.
No, they took it.
Oh, they took it. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, why don't you tell them about that combat?
Yeah, so the Mangler Squig actually did quite well. Like, they wanted their idea was to stomp the shrine, which would have cost me a battle tactic and also stopped me from getting anything back. So that was actually a really good decision to do that. They failed. They rolled a 1, so they didn't get to destroy my shrine. And then he went in to go and fight all the Squig herd. And as you'd expect, a Mangler's a pretty good monster. It punches in there. It does like 22 damage or something like that to the Squig herd, which is cool. But again, a Squig herd's got like 76 wounds when it's max, so he doesn't wipe a huge amount. And the big difference there between our Squig match there is that basically I had Grimcrack and he didn't have Grimcrack. So whenever he fought me, I would just fight back and pretty much get like as much damage as he could on the fight back. So I was just sort of like out damaging him in every single one of our fights because I would do huge amounts of damage on the fight back every time.
Yeah.
So he comes in, he's just like bam, 20 something damage to the Squig herd, and then it's like, all right, cool, now I'll just like fight on death. All right, cool, I do 20 damage back, and then he takes the Mangler off, and
and then you regrow your Squigs.
Died in the top of their 1, so a huge chunk of his army gone right away, where we're still practically full strength. And then at the bottom of 1, I think all but like 4 of those Squigs came back. Christian, you got like an ungodly amount of Squigs back.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think,
Nice.
I rolled I think I rolled a 1 for my battle shock on that turn, so I didn't end up losing like an extra 5 Squigs or anything. So I got.
Oh, no, I think you try and make them not run away.
That could have made sense. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
You built that list really good for that.
Yes, it's an awesome combo.
Yep.
So yeah, like he regenerated a bunch of his Squigs. So bottom of 1, we start moving up field. I get a battle tactic by hurling my zombie dragon as he does 20 several inches across the table into a unit of the Dawn Riders that Christian asked me to kill for him because they had the Horde Killer spell.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want that going off on the Squigs. So there's an opportunity to get a battle tactic with Desecrate and kill a very dangerous unit to his army.
And you're killing elves. It's a win-win.
And I'm killing elves. I'm happy regardless. It's a win-win. Yeah. Good stuff. So I do that successfully.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the double, but so after that, Altharian, who, if no one sees Altharian on the table because no one plays him. Yeah. But after what I just experienced, more people should be playing him.
Oh my god,
he kills monsters.
He was so
like
good.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yep.
Like one weapon profile like 4 attacks, like 2s by 2s. Ren 3, 2d3 damage against monsters, and or no, it was just 3 damage, and it was he was like, oh, 6s are exploding hits, and 6s on the wound or mortals in addition. So he did a couple mortals. He got like 5 attacks through. At Ren 3, I didn't save anything. It's like, oh, 15 damage. My zombie dragon's dead. Cool, nice.
So
awesome.
he had Ren 3, Kyle. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
he had
cool,
Ren
cool.
3.
Cool.
Zombie dragon doesn't, Rocco. Remember that.
Weird.
So, but after that, I was able to start mopping up things on the other side of the board, like killing his sentinels, killing other stuff there, and just being a nuisance, holding objectives. Christian, meanwhile, you demolished their right flank. Tell us about that.
Oh, after he charged me, I charged him back and then killed his squig herd. Again, because I could kill half the squig herd on my charge, he would fight back, and then I would fight again through Grin Crack, which was pretty good to be able to fight twice with those group. And then I had Battle Shock, and then I got to chuck all the Battle Shock into the LRL unit that was nearby as well with the exploding squigs. Killed so much stuff, and then they had some Boingrots nearby, so the next turn they charged the squig herd with the Boingrots, and again, I got to fight. He actually did wipe out the entire squig herd at that point. The Boingrots did do a lot of work, but the fight back still managed to kill almost all the Boingrots.
Yeah, all but 2. And we unfortunately forgot a rule that would have allowed you to probably kill his loon boss on Squig as well. That the fight on death happens before something fights and retreats. Like you still get the fight on death. I remember that the Squig that he pulled would have fought and killed that guy. More than likely. So he wound up being alive. It didn't matter in the long run, really. Would have mattered for max points, actually. Could have gotten to my grand strat. But either way, we forgot. It happens.
Yeah, no, it does.
But Christian, at the start of our turn 2, got to do an amazing thing that he didn't get to do at any other point in the weekend. Remember what you did, Christian?
No, I don't.
Okay, what did he do?
Because I told you to do it. I was like, oh my god, you can strike at the open. Because the cool thing, you get to do 2 heroic actions with GCs if you go second.
Oh, yeah.
He does have a GC in his list. He got to strike at the open with the Squig boss, is it?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, the Squig boss was my only GC, so yeah.
And doing that let him kill another bounder, which then released Grincrack from combat.
Oh,
so
that's
Grincrack got
funny.
to go take an objective for a very easy battle tactic for us.
That's funny.
It was an awesome, wonderful thing that happened. I'm going to strike the open with a Squig boss.
Hey,
I mentioned in my list as well that I do have the Tunnel Master with the shaman with the puppet. So I got to show people the puppet for an extra rend all the time. So,
I love that damn thing.
Again, another way why my squigs were out damaging his squigs, because I was getting to show his squigs the puppet. So.
It's one of those porcelain
the puppet
dolls.
helped me eventually kill those Dawn Riders really early.
Nice.
And then you were showing the puppet to Ethereum and Christian. He doesn't care about the puppet. He's ethereal. Like, I don't care. I'm showing him the damn puppet.
Yeah, he has to look at my puppet. I don't care if he's ethereal. He's still looking at it.
There you go. So yeah, strong wins.
It was a good game.
While Marathi was decimating my army in the game that I played, my own personal little mini game was putting the -1 to save token on Marathi every time Christian showed her the puppet, even though it literally meant nothing and did nothing. It was just a little bit of salt in the wound that I got to enjoy while she was slicing her way through all of my knights.
Yeah.
I got to enjoy this puppet while I can. We're going to change GHBs in 3 months' time, and I've only got 3 months of Tunnel Master puppet, so I've got to make the most of it.
And listen, I know in Game 5 I loved you with that puppet, because that meant we were killing dragons. Because Game 5, Round 5, we well, Alex, talk about pairings. Yeah, lo and behold.
So Round 5. At
this point we're 5-3.
I think so.
Yeah, because we both won our games and
double
both
wins
teams
round
won.
4,
Yep, 5-3.
And our opponent hands me a Lumineth list, 20 Sentinels and 10 Stone Guard, some other minor things in there. And my options of who to pick are a Caradron Overlord's army that has a frigate filled to the gills with Thunderers and a Chemist and an Admiral, all the buff pieces, or a Stormcast Dragons list, literally just 5 dragons is the entire army, or a Stormcast Fulminator and Annihilator list.
Yep.
And I'm looking at all of these and thinking, I don't really want to play against any of these, to be honest. But what's the best pairing I can do, and what are they likely to put with me? And my thought was, based on all these attacks they have, they all have pretty high rend, they all have pretty decent output of different kinds. They're probably going to pair me with Kyle's list, because the Sentinels do a decent amount of mortal wounds, and they're going to know that, you know, Slaves of Darkness has mortal wound protection, but Soul by Gravelords doesn't have very much at all. Not knowing that Kyle's actually pretty good at rolling sixes on those damn death saves.
Yeah. Apparently.
So I figured, all right, well, if they're gonna pick us, we're also probably the most durable combo, and we're still pretty fast. So let me take both of their shooting armies, because my army can charge into both the Lumineth and the KO shooting, weather it pretty decently. So can Kyle. And then, you know, I can take the brunt of it. Kyle can be our second wave, and then that frees up Christian and Rocco to have a, you know, mostly melee fighting combatant to have to deal with, and Squigs fight on death if you kill them. So good luck, guys. Have fun killing those Squigs. And that turned out to be exactly right. They picked the Soulblight list, and they did not expect us to pair the Lumineth and the KO list together. So we really concentrated and made them skew pretty hard in what they each did.
Yeah. It's a great plan.
And it worked. Despite my issues with Lumineth Realmlords and how I feel about them, having never won a game against them prior to this past weekend, I wound up going 3-0 against them this weekend.
Who knew?
With the help of some teammates.
Hey. Yeah.
Each of you, actually.
Yeah, each of us. That was a full team effort, my guy. That was, and it went from me yelling at you to hype you up, to then everyone was a bit more calm after that. I think I was obnoxious.
We did some impromptu exposure therapy for Kyle in how to deal with Lumineth Realmlords.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, and round 5 was against the gentleman who runs NashCon, David.
Yeah, David Griffin.
First time I actually got to play him at an event. Wonderful human. That was a good time.
Yeah, same. That was a great game. We really enjoyed it. And credit to David and his teammate, who I'm drawing a blank on, but he had a lovely captain's hat on the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was Robert. Yeah, with his captain's hat for his KO. Very themed. Love it. Good stuff.
His golden dice, and David and they had been playing Warhammer the whole weekend and then some, and there were moments where you could tell they're both playing fairly complex armies between KO and Lumineth, where they both were like signaling to their teammate, like, just let me think. I just need to think. You need to, whatever you're doing, you need to stop it so I can brain for a moment.
When you're gassed, man. Ugh.
Yeah, but the issue that they were experiencing that let us win that game was they just could not get on enough objectives, because being a fairly fragile, you know, shooting army, like KO's not exactly fragile. A lot of good saves, but just having not a lot of bodies, not a lot of ability to be multiple places at once, and that with both of their lists.
And if I remember right, too,
turn pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, that's what you do. And when they're in the boat, they don't count for objectives. So they're
I believe that's correct. Yeah,
it's just, you know, one ironclad. Can you or in this case, one frigate? Go on, Kyle.
Yeah, KO book tactics. You know how much people complain about Doc? KO's worst. Okay, it's dumb. Hey, look, we got out of the boat. Hey, look, we got in a boat.
My favorite.
Hey, look, I killed a unit.
Yeah, first blood in the first battle round. Shoot a unit dead. Cool, dude. That's the point of my army. Yeah, it's great.
That's the entire army shtick. It's what they do.
I don't ever want to hear complaints about Daughters of Cain ever again.
Nah.
Frankly, neither do I.
I don't want to hear about Lumineth, Kyle. Listen.
Oh no, you're gonna still get complaints about Lumineth, because they are still the NP masters of Age of Sigmar.
Hey, Carl, did you ever charge into some Lumineth in that game and they ignored your rent? That happened to you?
So one thing we did that I thought was helpful going into this was we absolutely double checked how the Stone Guard worked, and realized that while they could ignore Rend 2 because of how they worded the FAQ on it, my Knights actually still got some Rend against them. Although I don't think it really mattered. The Stone Guard actually wound up getting killed think by my Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, and not until
He killed
fairly
8
late
of them
the
in
game.
one combat phase. It was ridiculous what happened there. Yeah, it's like after I watched my 420 point zombie dragon bounce off 10 stone guard
Again?
2 rounds before.
Kyle, it happened again?
No, because that's what
Okay,
happened.
because of what happened before. Okay. You had some flashbacks, a little PTSD. It's okay. We're positive on mental health here.
We were trying to kill their stone mage as a battle tactic for gaining momentum, and we wound up killing it before the combat phase actually started with like monstrous actions, stomps and stuff. So you got to put all your attack into the stone guard, and like 10 stone guard just disappeared to 2 with 1 Karkadrak fighting. Like, what just happened? Like those things, as far as I understood, were unkillable. I guess I ran 3 Karkadraks, pretty good.
Yeah, that game he went nuts on the Eye of the Gods. So my Chaos Lord had the full like Eye of the Gods suite. He was marked undivided. He rolled on the Eye of the Gods at the start of the game. This was one of the games where he succeeded my grand strategy and deployment, which was fun. He got Chaotic Conduit off most of the time. He killed some heroes. He took objectives from the enemy. So he had like Rend 3. He had a 5-up ward. He had all this stuff. So when we sort of incidentally killed the Stone Mage, he just turned and threw a whole bunch of stuff into the Stone Guard, and every now and then he wallops what he goes into. And then sometimes, he can't do a wound to save his life.
Yeah. So that sounded like a great game.
It was, although I was really worried when my 10 knights charged in and had to weather the full brunt of the frigate shooting with all of the thunderers and all of that. And he just was walking through like, I have this buff and this buff and this buff. I'm on 2s and 2s or 3s and 2s.
Whatever.
With all of my shooting, I'm on Rend 3 or Rend 4. And I'm like, that's great. I've got a Mystic Shield. I've got all out of defense.
Yeah.
Fine.
And command points were at a premium because LRL and Total Eclipse, which is awful and needs to be errated, changed completely.
Okay, Kyle, again, we don't have enough time in the night. We're already well over an hour here.
I tried to change that earlier.
We're well over an hour.
Actually reasonable.
Sure.
And
One
no
thing
one
that
listened.
worked out quite well throughout the whole tournament was as most of my army was Squig Herd, I had no use for command points. So like every time I had my matchup, it's just like, I'm like, Kyle, they're all yours. You can do whatever you want with them. I don't need a command point.
And it was great for me, like, cool.
Yeah,
the 2 games I played with Christian, like, cool. I'm gonna all attack each turn. I'm gonna all defense every turn. I'm gonna reroll charges, like I have, I'm a billionaire with command points to spend, because I was. Like every turn we had 4, 5, 6 command points. Like this is great. This is awesome. I like having all these command points. I'm gonna redeploy when I feel like it.
Yep, and I was all auras, so I was able to give them to Kyle too. All right, so our game 5, Christian. Because here we are again. This is us.
There we are. We got to play against the Stormcast. So what was it? One list, 5 dragons.
Yeah, it was Oops All Dragons. Oops All Fulminators.
Yep, and then they had some Annihilators that dropped down, and a couple little teleporty priests, which is really clever of them because they were teleporting around to like capture objectives with GCs and stuff. So it was quite a good list.
Oh yeah, we played against a full. Might as well have been a regular Stormcast army at the end of the day. Just the melee version, not the one with all the long strikes everyone freaks out about, because that book is really good if you play the other stuff too. And yeah, it honestly kind of surprised me that they took first turn.
That surprised me too.
Because it was a melee on melee matchup, and we had a lot of speed to get out there, but they had Unleash Hells from Dragons that they could do. They had base saves on a 3, so it'd be up to like mortal wounds and things, and I would not have been in a position with my king and my turtle to just go at them turn 1, and then if they got the double, we just would have immediately lost. But they went first, and they tried to alpha strike us.
Yep.
And
they failed one of their charges, and
on the Fulminators, Dragons made it in.
The Annihilators just got left standing there in the middle. They didn't get
too.
in. Yeah, and we deployed quite well so that the stuff they wanted to shoot, they couldn't shoot. Because, being like 9 away and then trying to shoot in, like they couldn't actually get to like Grimcrack and stuff like that with their shooting, which was good.
Yep. And then my eels got roasted, but it was worth it to make sure Squig stayed alive. And then, we just turned to each other and kind of said, fuck it, and we charged into them. And then, like, Shelly went around your shrine to go into, I guess, Fulminators, and then my king went into Dragons, and you went into Dragons, and and you went into Annihilators, and it was a bloodbath. Like, however the turn happened, it was just, they came into us, didn't charge, and then we just killed half their shit.
Yeah.
And then, if we had gotten the turn, again, it would have just been game over. They got it, and then they came into us, and we made them earn every inch of ground they came. It was bloody. Shelly unleashed hell on the dragon riding hero and did 8 wounds.
Ooh, yeah.
With the harpoon launcher, so left him on 3 wounds, and she took 3 dragon shooting mortal wounds into her, and then with her last breath, she did, for the first time of the whole tournament, she finally got a 6 to hit on her bite, did 6 mortal wounds to something, being a monster, and then died in the explosion.
But also, it turns out, if you got a 3-up save, what's pretty good against that is a red 3 turtle and a puppet nearby. Like, yeah.
Weird.
Turns out that's all right, yeah.
Yeah, red 4 is amazing. Christian...
Anthony was just like in shock and just complaining for the next 30 minutes. Just he didn't believe what happened when he attacked with chunked his fulminators into the squig herd, and he's like, I did 30 damage to that squig herd, and then the squig herd did 40 damage back. With a fight on death, and he was just like, what?
Oh, dude, it was brutal as hell.
It was not a dissimilar bloodbath on our end. Like, at the end of the game, all that was left standing was Yerk, Harkadrak, and 20 Sentinels and the KO Foot Heroes.
Yeah, all that was left for them was... All that was left for them in the end was the Lord Relictor on 1 wound. And that was it. And it was just, when we got to go first, they just burnt the objectives that we had, and they just built a lead early that we came close to coming back on.
As well. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Any extra points with that GCs? I don't remember if that was a scenario.
No, it wasn't
No
extra points, but
they might have gotten extra chances at BPs for battle tactics with it.
Yeah, it was. They were able to score their battle tactics, and we dropped a couple. And my turtle dying after she was my grand strategy, that hurt. And then top of 1, they blew up your shrine, and that you said that cost you your grand strat.
That was right. Yep.
So that was really what did it. Like, I think it ended up being 9-16, even with the dropped grand strats. We still kept it a game, and funnily enough, Lotan for me did amazing. Of all the things, also Christian was like, "Hey, can your king even kill 2 dragons?" And they like redeployed. They couldn't unleash hell. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, watch." He's like, "Nah, that doesn't do damage. What do you mean?" And then I overkilled him on the first profile by like I think an extra 10 wounds or something stupid. But Lotan, after coming off of beating the LRL Kangaroos and just cheering everybody on with the Sylvaneth bloodshed, or sap shed, I guess, over a few turns, fought and killed a Lord Imperator, and then took all but 1 wound off of a fresh Lord Relictor. And I got to use, for the first time in probably 50 games of me playing Deepkin in this book, there is a ritual. So for Deepkin, each battle round they get a cool rule, and what replaced the old prayer lore was a once per battle round effect, depending on the certain battle round. Lotan has an ability where even if you didn't take that once per game buff to yourself, you can do it. And so he gave himself on the retreat and charge turn, for every unit you were in combat with, you roll a dice on a 4-up, you do D3 mortal wounds, and that's how he did the last wound to the Imperator. It was just, and our biggest problem was that they had the GC enhancement to making count as 10 models.
Yep.
And that screwed us. Yeah, Stubborn as a Rhinox. Because we had Grimcrack's boys and my hero there, but we counted as 8 bodies.
Yeah, got to have another GC to cross that out.
Yeah. But this game did have one of my favorite parts of the tournament, which was just the dragons running away from the squigs.
Christian, go on about all your squig murder.
How the mighty have fallen.
Oh my God.
The scariest thing in the game 6 months ago, and now, there was 7 squigs and 3 herders, and they were shitting themselves, running away,
My favorite part wasn't even that, because it was, they were trying to get cute with, Anthony Paul Castro and his party were trying to get cute with, and I love him. He wanted revenge on me from a thing I did to him in a Blood Bowl game, but they were gonna do gaining momentum and kill one of your foot heroes.
Yeah, yep.
And it was, they were like, oh, let's just stay outside at 12. I'm like, oh, you want to make sure he doesn't redeploy, right? He's like, yeah, stay out at 12, stay out at 9. We'll go 12, just barely be in range so he doesn't redeploy away out of our shooting. And then they didn't kill him because you had the enhancement.
Yeah, the fueled by Gurish Rage. So the battle tactic was kill the hero and then take the objective. And they were like, oh, we got to be 12 inches away because they want to be as far away from the squigs as possible.
Yep.
Want to have an easy squig charge. And then, so they just overkilled the squig boss, and it's like, that's cool. That 3 up, but there he was, back to life again.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh. And then you ran them down like the dirty dogs they were. It was beautiful. And again, they killed your shrine so you couldn't bring any units back. But at the end of the game, you almost had almost all your squigs. You had the 20 stabbers. You had
the way the map worked after the fulminators attacked. It was like they were dead to a man except the 6 handlers. There was every single squig was dead, so it was just the 6 handlers, and I got to use the triumph.
Yes.
Every single game I got my triumph because I was playing, I think, 55 points down. So
it's worth it.
That got it for us, everyone. But also I had a 7-drop list, so every single game I didn't get choice of first. So yeah.
I'd still say that's worth it. I'd make that decision in list building every time. Just to go down, then 63 squigs come back. Mm-hmm. It was so good.
Yeah, that
such good
for your list, Christian, it is a good tactic. Yeah.
Yep. And so we lost the battle.
Like the end of the game, we had a turn, and I still had almost my whole army, and they had just one little hero with 5 wounds left on the table, but it was the other side.
And then he had 1 wound at the end. I was so close to killing him, man.
Yeah, I got to stab him in the dark to kill him if I could have got there, but he was 18 inches away, and it was just too fast. So,
it happens.
But again, they won by 6 points. Even getting that tactic was, a little bit less.
And I think everyone dropped. Order? Yeah, they did because Brendan and them took the best non-traditional display board, and then they were right up there. So they split the awards, which is funny because they were also the other team that would have won the other display board thing with the Totally Not Condor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was great for them. Everyone was happy. But yeah, that was no one scored a grand strategy in that game. Battle tactics were dropped left, right, and center by both teams because of just all the shenanigans. It was bloody as hell. It was everything you wanted for Warhammer.
Yeah, like every other game we played, it was always like 24 to 27 points every single game, and then this was the game where it was just like 16 was the winning number because of just how many things we had to drop for this one.
Yep, and all the death. Yep. My God, man, and that was the crazy part. They took Tapa 2. And we still killed as much as they did.
Oh, yeah. There was a point where we made a comment where it was like the bottom of 2, and we were just like, you have like 4 models left for your entire army left on the board.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we didn't really engage in combat until the bottom of 2.
And all our
games got shot at for a turn and a half.
Yeah. Sentinels do that.
Pretty cagey at the start because we wanted to try to set up well for the double and then didn't get it, but we were set up in such a way that we knew even if we didn't get the double, the things they would be shooting would be able to weather the storm. So
which is good.
It was a pretty cagey start.
Good. And for us,
and it scores a lot of VPs, so it worked out.
Oh, there you go.
We were constantly in control of the objectives, which still matters in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, score 1, score more in a tactic each of the first 2 without even breaking a sweat.
Nice.
And I accidentally positioned my Vampire Lord on foot to where they couldn't fly high and steal an objective on the back edge of the table, which was great.
Nice.
A moment of accidental brilliance. Yeah.
Love it when that
In
happens.
the future, I hope to remember that to actually do that and spell that out so people can't do it to me. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I learned from my accidental positive thing.
And for us, it was that because everyone's a melee army and we're all danger close. How the turn happened. But yeah, it was fun games, and at the end of the day, we finished as a team 6-4.
Yeah,
You know?
And of those 4 losses, one of them was to best order. 2 of them were to best generals.
Yep.
And the other one was they won something. Lords of War won something.
They won a painting award because they had the best actual painted models, and
Yes.
their army was beautiful.
Oh my God, the banners!
Yeah, it was.
Every little tiny detail was
wild.
just amazing.
I didn't look at those, but on the dock side,
Oh.
their Marathi, the work on those scales were beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was admiring the hair on the Blood Sisters and how well blended it was.
There you go. Yeah, and then the last big thing that ended up happening was we got this. It was this tomato cheese soup in a bread bowl.
That's also known as
Deep dish pizza. Yeah. And I actually had to
AKA
leave,
one of the
but
greatest foods known to man.
Yeah.
But it is not what Chicagoans eat as pizza whenever we eat pizza.
Funny
For
enough.
those who don't understand that. When I want pizza, I don't get a deep dish every single time. It's like 1 out of every 15 or 20 times.
Yeah, I like to describe it as it's the same ingredients as pizza, but it's a different food.
yeah, it's a different format.
It's in the same way that you could have a chicken salad with croutons in it, or you could have a chicken sandwich with salad on it, and it's like they're the same
Okay.
ingredient, but
Okay.
they're just in different. They're just organized slightly differently.
I dig it.
Yeah.
And that was great. It was a great tournament, a great time. And thank you, Kyle, for letting me stay with you. And thank you for all of you for driving my half blind ass around. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, we hope to see you. I'm saying we hope to see you in Chicago for another tournament. I don't even live in Chicago anymore. But
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Goddamn Canadian.
I get. Yeah, I know.
Don't let the accent fool you.
Yeah, us Commonwealthers, Anyway, I hope, one day we'll be at a tournament together sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I need a break for a second. This is
Yeah.
on the
Definitely recommending for people who are at all interested to see the Midwest event. Like Adepticon's got it, but I don't know. The Holy events just have it so much. Like they're amazing.
Yeah.
So shout out to Holy Havoc in November 10, 11, 12 because we're going to be there getting our narrative on. And it's another doubles event, and I don't know. Maybe you can get a East Coast partner to rock up and narrative tables.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Good event.
Can't commit yet because my wife knows my schedule way better than I do, so I'm not gonna say anything now and then have her say I'm in 3 more weddings and I don't even know. But yeah, thanks for coming on. And Alex or Kyle, do you have any closing thoughts too? Or I want to do it.
No.
All right.
This was my first time being team captain, and while it involved some panicked paperwork and score submission things at different times, I was happy to get the experience. And I think my highlight for the tournament was realizing that I had called what my opponents were going to do and paired us up pretty decently in those last 2 games. So yeah, I came away from that feeling happy with just how all of our team did, and how everyone performed, that everyone pretty much enjoyed their games, and a little bit of personal pride at being the captain there. So
Hell yeah,
all of us are excited for doing another one of these.
Oh, yeah.
It would be great. And Kyle's already said that next year we all have to go a 4 docker army, and we all have to go chainmail bikinis to the tournament, and that's
That's the plan.
and that was immediately vetoed by me. So don't worry, everyone.
It was vetoed by Tanya before it was vetoed by you.
She's not even on the team, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, real quick in closing too, as would we do this all again? Was Adepticon worth it? 100% yes. It is great. The hobby is amazing. You can see all these different game systems going on. There's all the vendors. Everything's fantastic. Everyone's got that Midwest politeness. and they'll all drive 5 hours and say it was nothing just to show up. And for me, when I lived in Delaware, if it was past 15 minutes, it was too far to drive. So yeah. Thank you, everybody. I don't know. Have a good night. Still working on a new tagline for the channel with this. So I think Dave told me, G-Dad, he said, be nice and roll some dice. So there you go. Bye.
Bye.
Next time, show them the puppet.
Oh, show him the. Oh, that sounds a little dirty. I don't know, man.